Hello again, boys and girls. It is story time. I'm going to read you a book, and then we're going to have a little activity afterwards. So let's see, what do you need? You need your listening ears. You need a dry erase board, a piece of paper. Okay, you got that? All right, and then we need something with which to draw. So crayons or markers if you're using paper. If you're using a dry erase board, make sure you have a dry erase marker so that you don't have trouble getting your drawing off when you're ready. Okay? All right. It's a story that we did read in class. I thought we could do it again since we've been talking about drawing and what you can do with lines. So let's get started. Harold and the Purple Crayon by Crockett Johnson. Yes. Look at the cover. You're going to say, oh, Mrs. Broh-Kahn, I recognize that. Who is Harold? And he's going to be drawing with a purple crayon. All right, let's read this together. Here's our title page. You ready? Now you want to maybe draw along as you listen to the story. Just don't get so interested in your drawing that you miss the illustrations. Harold and the Purple Crayon by Crockett Johnson. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight. And he needed something to walk on. He made a long path so he wouldn't get lost, and he set off on his walk, taking his big purple crayon with him. But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on the long, straight path. So he left the path for a shortcut across the field, and the moon went with him. The shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. Well, he didn't want to get lost in the woods, so he made a very small forest with just one tree in it. Well, it turned out to be an apple tree. The apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, when they got red. So he put a frightening dragon under the tree to guard the apples. It was a terribly frightening dragon. It even frightened Harold. He backed away. His hand holding the purple crayon shook. Well, suddenly, he realized what was happening. But by then, Harold was over his head in an ocean. He came up thinking fast, and in no time, he was climbing aboard a trim little boat. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. Is anyone doing the drawing along with the story? Has anyone got some lines, maybe a moon or a boat on their paper yet? Let's continue. After he had sailed long enough, Harold made land without much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering where he was. The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and the thought of picnics made him hungry. So he laid out a nice, simple picnic lunch. Boys and girls, who is this beginning to remind you of? Do you remember the stories that we read about the moose and a muffin, the mouse and a cookie? Yeah, me too. There was nothing but pie. But there were all 9 kinds of pie that Harold liked best. When Harold finished his picnic, there was quite a lot left. He hated to see so much delicious pie go to waste. So what do you think he did? So Harold left a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up. And off he went looking for a hill to climb to see where he was. Harold knew that the higher up he went, the farther he could see. So he decided to make the hill into a mountain. It went high enough, he thought. If he went high enough, he thought, he could see the window of his bedroom. Do you know where the story is leading? He was tired and he felt he ought to be getting to bed. He hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of the mountain. But as he looked down over the other side, he slipped, and there wasn't any other side of the mountain. He was falling in thin air. What's he going to do, boys and girls? Got a problem. He's going to have to come up with a solution, and here it is. But luckily, he kept his wits and his purple crayon. He made a balloon, and he grabbed onto it. And he made a basket under the balloon big enough to stand in. He had a fine view from the balloon, but he couldn't see his window. He couldn't even see a house. So he made a house with windows, and he landed the balloon on the grass in the front yard. None of the windows was his window. He tried to think where his window ought to be. He made some more windows. He made a big building full of windows. He made lots of buildings full of windows. He made a whole city full of windows. But none of the windows was his window. He couldn't think where it might be. He decided to ask a policeman. The policeman pointed the way Harold was going anyway, but Harold thanked him. And he walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and in bed. And then suddenly, Harold remembered. He remembered where his bedroom window was when there was a moon. It was always right around the moon. And then Harold made his bed. He got in it and drew up the covers. The purple crayon dropped on the floor, and Harold dropped off to sleep. The end. Marker, crayon, or dry erase marker ready? All right. Think, boys and girls, of one of the illustrations, one of the ideas in the story, something that Harold saw, drew, and you're going to do it on your paper or dry erase board. I'm going to give you a minute, okay? I'm going to give you a minute so you think. What do you want to draw? Maybe your favorite part, maybe your favorite picture, and maybe you just want to maybe you just want to draw some of the lines and see where it leads you. Having trouble figuring out where to begin? You want some reminders? Well, let's see. You could draw, certainly, Harold, series of lines. The moon. Maybe you thought, no, let's do the tree. Or let's see. How about the picnic with all the pies? Now there were 9 pies. Just maybe you're going to draw, let's see. Oh, how about the balloon? Or the hill? Or how about the buildings? A city full of windows. No, that doesn't appeal to you? All right, well, keep thinking. Keep thinking about the police officer. He's pointing the way. How about... Oh, I'm not going to give you any more ideas. You think. Okay, now I'm going to pause while I draw, and then I'm going to turn it back on and see what you came up with, and you'll see what I came up with. All right? I couldn't decide either. It's hard. So I did the balloon, which is a hot air balloon, because I was thinking about Mrs. MacGyver, who went up in a hot air balloon a couple years ago for a ride, and it was beautiful, she said. So anyway, I was thinking of her. And then drew one of the last of the last illustrations of the book when he goes back to his bedroom. Well, he remembered to follow the moon, and he saw the moon from his window and drew his window. I don't know. I was just thinking about it's nice to be able to go home. So, I hope that was fun. Love to see your drawings sometimes. If anybody wants to email them to me, I'd be happy to look at them. Harold and the Purple Crayon. Just never know where that crayon is going to take you. All for now. Have fun. Keep reading and learning. And I'll see you again soon.